Caleb Rowland here, part two of the Art Lick Music Appreciation Final Exam. In this part, we are to choose the movie and talk about how we would talk to a lost person through the following of a movie. The movie that I've chosen would be, it's kind of odd. I wrote the paper before I realized we had to do the video with it as well, so it's a little bit of an odd movie choice, but Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, the first of the series. Um, in this movie, there's several things that happen. There's the myth of the Black Pearl, so a lot of people don't believe in the Black Pearl. I'll use that situation to approach people in the sense of I could ask them, do they believe in myths, kind of thing like that. That's the way I would first approach, see what their ideas are on myths themselves. If they believe, like, say, for example, in Bigfoot or something in that sense, those are myths in today's times. I would use that idea, and as due to their response, I would go from there. If they don't believe in myths, then you can always ask them, well, what about faith? And you don't have to necessarily go into the faith of Jesus Christ. You can go into the faith of just believing that whenever you do something, far as I like to use the example gravity, whenever you step into a home, you have faith that you won't fall through the floor. And this is one aspect that I like to use whenever approaching a lost person. And so you start out, you go from myth to faith, and then from faith you use everyday scenarios such as the gravity situation, and then from there you can branch into then you can ask them, well, what about the faith that Jesus Christ died for our sins, and we can be saved if we confess to Him and believe in Him. And that's one of the directions that I see that I could go from for Pirates of the Caribbean. Another direction that I really like the idea of is Pirates of the Caribbean is obviously about pirates, so they have different morals than we do. I would say they're not afraid to steal, that kind of thing like that. Another way that I would approach talking to a lost person is I would ask them, what are their morals like? Did they feel like the movie was immoral, or do they feel like it was moral? I feel like most people would feel that Pirates of the Caribbean would be immoral due to the stealing and killing and that sorts of thing like that. And then I could use the moral standpoint to ask them, so, well, do you feel like you have a reason to be moral, or it's just something that naturally humans do? And I like this aspect because you can kind of branch off. It's like, well, being moral, what are you being moral for? And most of the time when I've asked people this question, they just say, well, I want to be a good person. Well, then I ask them, why do you want to be a good person? And they didn't, and honestly, their response is just because I want to be a good person. And I can go from there and ask them, well, with Jesus Christ was a very moral person. He never did any sin at all. And through that aspect, are you trying to be more? You can be moral for Jesus, being in the sense of the Ten Commandments and that sort of thing like that, where you don't want to be moral, and being immoral goes against Jesus Christ. And so you can use morality, and you can use the idea of myths when approaching a lost person after watching Pirates of the Caribbean.